G'day, how you going? Ian Applis here, your acrylic guru from Australia. Welcome to my art studio where I like to teach you how to paint in acrylic, and these videos are my free gift to you. I'll get the size of my canvas and also the colours I'm using running up the screen. Now this is going to be a wonderful, colourful, beautiful mountain, lake, stream landscape, something like that. So I want to bring you over here and just show you what I've got on the canvas. Okay, just a simple layout here. I've got a distant mountain. Now we can make our sky any sky you want, and you can make it semi or realistic realism, okay? I've got another mountain in the foreground a bit closer, and I'm gonna have some pine trees there. Hopefully I can do them. I have trouble doing it. Now I've got the horizon line there and here split leveled, so as I've made up different bits of ground coming forward like that. It might not look it in here, but when I start painting it, you'll get an idea. So there's going to be different greens here, and I've just laid it up in a way where I've made my river. I don't want to draw an S bend and make it look like it's standing upright or sideways. And we're just going to have shrubs in between different layers here, okay? So I'm going to start off with my sky, and I want to make it, let's say, a cool sky with a little bit of warmth down here. And it's up to you how you make your sky from this tutorial. And everything else within this tutorial, we're going to have a mountain, a midground mountain, a stream, and bits of grass and lawn and trees. Make it your mountain and your foregrounds and grass and trees. And there's going to be a tree here. I've got to have the bank curve because I want the tree sort of coming down the side of the curb of the bank there, and that'll cover up this corner here. Now I'm going to do this sky a little bit different than what you're used to seeing me do. This canvas is pre-primed from the shop. I've cut it off a roll to the size I want. I haven't gessoed it, and I'm not going to gesso it because I want to show you just with this other flat brush, it's not a big sky. So I want to get some French ultramarine blue, very pale, mixed with the white here. It's a good quality white, it's not my craft white. So get a bit more and just keep getting that going. This is going to be down the bottom, and I probably just want a little bit of warmth in there. It could have been yellow, but I don't want it to go green. I've got a little bit of magenta there, alizarin, permanent alizarin, sorry. A little bit there. There we go, it's too red, so I'm pulling more white in just so as I can add more blue. Now this is a good landscape painting, so we're going to do a lot of colour mixing here on the palette. So buckle yourself in, and we've got a bit of warm horizon purpley blue there. So over here I want this pretty much all the way across that part of the sky there, okay? So there's my sky. I'm just going to map it in where the mountains are, and I'll go a bit beyond. Now that's higher than what I want it to go, but I need it like that. Now I want the same paint again without the warmth in it, so I'm grabbing the French and the white only, which will give a different vibe. You don't want your skies, if you're just learning to paint, real heavy dark blue because they look cartoony. And I want to get my sky probably this colour, and at the very top a little bit darker. Now I'm going to start from the middle, and I want to start burying this and blending it into that first colour I just put on. So come right across, and then I'm coming to the tip of the brush, just so as I can pull this blue down to control the height of that warm colour there, because I don't want it too high, it looks weird. It's a long way away, it's just creeping over the mountains there. Coming here, so I'm scrumbling it on, getting it to the height, pulling it off the brush. Now you can do this. Knowing what to do, you can do it, and practice it before you do it onto a canvas. Pulling that up now. This is French ultramarine blue and permanent alizarin and the white so far. And now that top bit will just make a little bit darker. So I'll just wipe the brush, and I want to get the French now. I'll come over this side of that pile just so you can see the difference in the value.
Noisy palette.
And starting at the top, I'll get the top right on there. I'll do this half first, and I'll just blur that down into that. Now this is good quality paint. I suggest if you're going to stick with art, you're not just going to be a weekend warrior about it, get yourself good quality paints. because they do your canvas justice. There we go. And over here, see this canvas? It's got nothing on it. No magic white, no nothing. It's just knowing what to do. I'm going to get the top scrumbled right in, just with this little brush. I'm not using my big putter on one today. And I want to slowly just merge that down into that middle band of colour. Okay, I've finished my sky. Less is more with this. I'm just stroking it a bit. It looks nice. You can just see a hint of warmth there. It's not very loud, but it's just a hint. I don't want clouds in here. I don't want to complicate it. Like I said, less is more. It's going to look beautiful against all these other foreground subjects. Now, I was just looking at it. I was ready to dry it, but before I do, I'll just get this sky colour in my little stream here. So we've got a bit of this. We'll just put that at the very front. Let's say here. Not too much. Just enough of that there. And I won't even worry about washing the brush. I'll get a bit more of this lighter colour and that blue. And I'll get this mapped in a bit beyond where I need to go so I can pull everything to it. So I'm just blocking this little stream in here. Now where that joins, I'd like to just merge it nicely. You might not notice that, but I can in real life. And we'll get a bit more blue into that. Coming there. I'm stroking this left and right just because that's the way I want my water to finish. So if I ever did want to put any like wind hitting it, I can. Now I'm adding just a little bit more blue, as you can see, just as I come forward to the, which is the bottom of the canvas, because in hindsight, if anything, if you get it darker there and lighter at the horizon, it sort of gives it that vibe of it going like that instead of looking like that on your canvas. So I get this dark here. Now I'm just going to blend that and scumble it, whatever the way you pronounce that word. And I just want to emphasize a little bit more darker blue here, just watch, and then pull it back into the stream there. Now I'm just going to pick up some pure white on my another flat brush, and I've got that other brush here. I just wiped it. Now I gave that a little bit of a dry. It's just a little bit rubbery because what I want to do, I would like to get some white just banding into this like so, and then just pull the top half of that back into the blue, so to speak. So I want to leave the bottom half of it a little bit tight, and then the top half just scrumble it back into the blue. I'm going to look in my monitor just to see how it's faring, just to get bits of movement on the top of the water, pulling the top back. Now I dried it, but I wanted it a bit rubbery so as I can do this. And then I can, if I want, I can even do that. And we're just getting some bits of white. Come like this, look. Right across it like that. Scrumble one side so it's not a big thick line. Find what side's going to work. And just play with it. Act like a mad scientist if you have to. It's fun. Pull some of that. You don't want it too detailed back there. I feel I want something just there. So I'll add it just there. And that's just a bit of, I don't know, let me have a look. There I'm just looking, I don't quite, I feel I might have to join that up a bit. There we go. Because when we do the banks, we can probably pull down some kind of subtle reflections or darkness there. Now what I want to do next, I've just dried the edge of the sky there, just so as I can map in this far mountain. I'm going to mix up 3 colours for that, which is my cobalt blue and some white, and I've got some grey there. Now this is a different blue to the sky. I don't want it to clash with the sky too much, but it's far away, so it's going to have some atmosphere between you and it. I want to mix up the cobalt blue and some grey. And I want to get 3 values of this, a light, medium and a dark. This is what I'm actually doing in my mind, even though I'm not in Carolina. I'm just mixing up, if anything, the medium value, so I can add the lighters and darkers to this once it's all mapped in. So now I'll just come across the sky here get up there a little bit. I want to leave some of that red there that I've put in there. Come down here, start swerving up, right up there. This can be just blocked in like that, real easy. You can do it. And see, it's a different blue, distant bluey, whatever colour compared to the sky. Now this here, we want to make our mountain come down. Now it doesn't have to be a sharp edge there, it can be a bit blurry because it's in the distance. I want to come around and probably taper off over that side. Now just simply block that in. See, I don't have the sky paint underneath this, so I can press as hard as I want there and it's not going to dig up the sky colour. You got me? That's why I didn't use my craft white and retarder in this, because it's just, there's a lot of stuff going on here, so I can break it up in individual small pieces. Now that can be dried to a rubbery state, so you've got something to scrumble. Now we're going to add a bit of the cobalt blue to that to get our darker vibe. Get both sides of your brush mixed. If you're brush mixing, I'll wet that brush with a bit of water. Now I just want some darker bits, so what I'll do, I'll probably get to the very top of that mountain there and then just start zigzagging down any old way like this, boom, and then just get a dark patch. Now you can copy this exact if you don't have an idea in your head. That's what this tutorial is all about. I just want to come down there and get some nice dark bits coming here and there. Look at that. This is in the distance, all the way over here as well. And I'm scrumbling it in, letting it fade a bit. It's coming down here as well. Look at that. Make the shape with your brush. We're just getting the dark values in, and then we'll fix it up with the lighter values. And we still got that mid-tone value if we need to add a bit more of that back. Sweep it around and down. There we go. Look at that. Fun. This is acrylic. I'm just sweeping it. There we go. Sweep it, sweep it. Okay, I've got that colour there. Now I'm just going to grab more white and add to this medium value that we first mixed. See how easy this is? You can do it. Now on here, I want to, let's just say, get this bit here. I want to get this bit nice and bright in the middle here, right in the guts of it coming down. And I can make this however I want, go over some of that dark if I want, just like that, coming through here to a degree, leaving some of the other first colour you put down as well. Let me have a look at that. How's that looking? That's looking okay. I'm happy with that. We're going to get probably bits and bobs of this just here and there. I want the bottom a lot lighter, so what I will do is get the bottom light and just sort of scrumble it up into that darker colour and that medium colour, not getting rid of all of the two colours there, just like so. Might want to, in this valley here, the valleys, if anything, I'm trying to lighten up. I want something maybe, I don't know, just in that dark bit there as well. Now if you have a sure guaranteed way of doing your mountains. Do them your way. I'm just doing it my way. I'll get in the rest of this scrumbled there. So behind that mountain it's going to look like as distance. Filter it up through there. Oh, don't like that. So I've done my mountain. I can keep going, but that's fine. It's way in the distance. And now you can just start to see that little bit of warmth in the beginning that I've put behind there. See how it comes into play. It gives that bullshit value to your art. Now we're going to come along with this next mountain and block that in. Now that's like a distant green because all this green pastures here is going to be closer, so it'll be darker. So let's start mapping this one in now. Okay, I've got some green oxide here. So to make that simple, I'm not going to complicate it. I want to grab the amount of paint I want to paint it in white and then just add that to get a lighter value. Okay, and I'm going to map in that mountain with this lighter value and then just simply add some of the dark where I want the darker values. So I'll use my flat brush again and I'll start getting this in. So I want the top of this now a lot sharper. Okay, come up there, down here, cutting back that blue mountain. Making sure there's no white there. Getting that up there to a point. Now I'm going to have bushes here, so I'm not going to paint where my bushes are going to be, so I'll just sort of gingerly get it down to there. And block it all in. I just added water, look how that's flowing across it now. Now I'm grabbing a darker value, mixing up next to that. I don't want it that dark, I want it a little bit less, harder than that. Now I've given it a bit of a dry and I just want to get some darker bits on here now. So we'll start from about here. Can we go more? Just get a wedge of darkness here. Now if it's still picking up the underneath colour, you can just dry it a bit more. So what I'm doing is pretty much that line now, I don't want it too sharp. I'm going to get rid of that sharpness. Don't like it. I just looked and analysed it and I want it to be a bit like that. Now I'm just stamping it on like that because it can be even like darker tree values here, who knows. And a lot of this is just coming down and pull it through into that, scrumble it in. Soften that up, soften that up, soften that up. Same with this. I'll get it on where I want the dark. Getting it on, getting it on, and getting it on. Empty the brush and just kill the hard edges, I suppose. Okay, that's done. It can have a dry. Now I've got this other line here. That is the landmass that the pine trees are going to sit on. So we can dry this. And I've got this softer fan brush. I find that's going to help me with my pine trees. Now I have some Viridian green here as well, which is darker. I want to just use this raw colour now with nothing mixed in it. So we've got the light, medium, and this is the darker value of it, just to block in the land mass where these pine trees are going to sit. And as we paint them in, we can make them look more backwards and forwards from each other, so they don't look like a curtain of trees at the back of the painting. And this line here, if anything, I'm trying to give it some wavy whoop-de-doo bits, and come all the way into there like that. Now I've given it a dry. I want to put the pine trees in and then sit this ground appropriately. So I'll start with the dark Viridian green. So over here we'll have one there, and then we'll just start bringing them down. I'll have one there, now I'm going down lower as I go because it's going to give the illusion that they're going that way instead of across like a row of soldiers. And where's our lake? We'll probably stop about here somewhere. Okay, so there's me trees. So we'll build one. Well, we'll get them in while we're going. Get them to that ground colour you just put there. I find this brush gets me a thinner line. That's why I'm using it. And I don't know, I might want something in between at the back. Now I've got to try and create. So I always like to put a bit not connecting, and then I'll try and build me pine tree. This is the dark colour. Now, so I don't bore the living buggery out of you, I'll do a couple, but I'll do the rest off camera just so as you, but I'm showing you now what I'm doing, so as you'll know what I've done off camera is how I've done it. I'm kind of scooping that, but I'm trying to control my brush strokes so they don't look too blobby. They've sort of got some decent amount of charisma in them. And on the bottom here it's going to be dark. Now I don't want it to look like a fish bone skeleton. You've got to get it solid in there, so when we highlight it, it will show the lights and darks of the tree. Okay, so I'm showing you on this one. If I've got a bit more water into me paint, I'll use the corner to get it on, but this right side I'm flicking out. See, I've just realised I'm able to get more sharper pinnacles compared to blobby brush strokes like that. So I'll get that side done like that, but don't wet it too much. You can see that that's a little bit more see-through than what the trunk was. I'll leave a bit of the ground there, and then the other side can go that way. And then this ground that I've put there, you can see how I've disturbed it a bit. We can paint that back in appropriately to make them look backwards and forwards from each other. Now I've given that a dry. Now this ground that we put in, I'm putting that back, but I want to leave some trees so they look like they're forward and backwards from each other. So getting rid of all these lines that went through, just like that. Sit in front of it. Now I will grab some of that dark colour while I've made some of that a little bit damp. I'll just wipe the same brush and I'll pick up some of that Viridian green and I'll just smudge some shadowing shade under these ones here. Just jingle them back to just to there where we're not gone over the horizon. I did just grab a bit of the middle colour, just so as I can, there we go, get some of that a bit lighter. Looks a bit too dark there. Now I've got a detailed brush here. I'm picking up the green oxide with nothing mixed with it. We've got the medium and the light value of it. So I'm picking up just that. And I want to just highlight my trees now. So I'll get them pretty much on the very tips. Just like that. And this is going to sit in the one in front of the one behind it pretty much. And for a bit of luck, this will help me paint a wickedly decent palm tree. Not a palm tree, a evergreen? Pine tree? A pine tree. Now I'm looking at that line there. I need some of it just to filter back that way a bit, just because I analysed it. Now, if you've got a better way to do your evergreens, you do them your way. I can only do it my way, unfortunately. Some people get caught in judging other people's work and saying, no, you're doing it wrong. And we get caught having that mindset because we always think our way is the right way. Once I add the highlights to this, it'll really kind of give it dimension. Now, that paint that I used here, I want this lighter value, so I'm going to grab some more white and just mix up a lighter value of that, just so as I can highlight those trees. Very minimal, not too much, don't overdo it. And just put the slightest of some of this now. And you can use this to come from the darker bit into some of the lighter bit if you feel that line there's too neat. How's that looking, the lightness of it? I don't think I've done enough. That's all right, I suppose. Now, I'm just looking here. I've just grabbed the green oxide on its own again, because some of this bright that I just put on, I feel it's just too much. So I'm just gingerly sitting it down again. I've done it to that tree, and you can see keeping these at values helping it rather than hindering it. Now this green, we want the medium colour here. So the lighter colour, which is here, we want to come in front of that ground there. So come in swooping ways like so, sitting it back. This is just simple lawn. And when you get to the lake, the river here, we want to sit that into the water properly. So let me just finicky this bit in there first. So I'll put all this colour in first, and then I'll put the darks. And you can see I've got a hint of some shrubs there, so I don't need to paint where all the shrubs are going to go. I'll just gingerly brush around them, like so, turning my brush as I go, and block that in. That's good enough. Putting some pride in my work there. Now where it's meeting the water, we just got to darken that up. So just creating the mid value again of that green oxide. And we'll start with a line first, but don't get any dags in your water there. There we go. Jut this up to the shape of the land there. I've dried the green and I'm trying to make this come up and that way. So I'm getting it a bit more thicker here and then coming up just like that. I'll have a look in my monitor. It's looking okay. This is very basic, simple but effective artwork a beginner can adopt. Now I'm grabbing the Viridian Green again, and this bank here I want to separate with me shrubs. So I'm just going to use this for the darker value and get the height of them. This is me shrubs here. They're going to dance along. And I'm using this brush because see how it gets the tops quite hairy? My tree's going to go there, but I still need these there where they're going to go. So if there's any holes in my tree, you're going to see background behind it. You're not going to see a gap of nothing because this is just blocking those shrubs in for now. Also, this next bank of land is going to be sit back with these bits of shrubs as well, so I'll get them coming up where they got to go, low, and then I'll come a bit higher again up into there, bits of air in between it. I want something right up there and then coming down here. There we go. I've given it a dry and I'm picking up the green oxide now, and I want to highlight that, but I do want the bottoms reasonably dark. See how that's a blob? I don't want it to be blobby, I want it to be airy. There we go. And we're just going to simply get this coming into the painting like so. But try and break up those patterns that your brushes can make. Can I have a look at that? That's looking reasonably shrubby. And the same here. I want, if anything, the tops of these ones brighter. And the bottoms darker. Have a look in my monitor. Reasonable, okay, good enough. Don't overdo your stuff. That'll do. That will do it. Just grabbing the slightest highlight of that with some white. Where's some more white? There we go. And I might want just the tiniest within the bush. Can I have a look at that? Now down here I've got sap green and cadmium yellow medium, not light, medium. Medium's a bit warmer. So I want to make a bit of a warm yellow green here with these two. And I want to change the value of the greens coming forward. So I want to block in these front bits now. So this is coming all the way from here. And it's going to come along, leave that dark bit there, but just follow it. There we go, all the way across there. Now it might need a couple of passes if you can see through it, that's fine. You can do a coat, dry it. And we want the river, keep these if anything level on a slight angle. Don't have them too much up and down. You want them more east-west than north-south. There's going to be another one there which will be a slightly different value. Same over this side, I want to cut it in. to our stream there, because this is going to have a bit of a cliff bank on it as well, meaning the bank will have some kind of cliff vibe to it. And this is going to pretty much come across here, cover all that darkness in to there. This is pushing those shrubs just down the way a bit. Now moving right along, I've just blocked that in. I've given it a dry so I can thicken it up a bit. But this panel of land here, I want this a bit more yellowy, so because it's sort of in the middle, so I want it to stick out. And then we'll detail these side bits. So to get that more yellowy, I'm going to pick up some of the cadmium yellow medium here, because I want it more greeny. And then just add a little bit more of that into there, just so it's really a brighter green, yellow green. The banks can be a little bit darker, but I need to get a lot of it off there and then start getting the top edge right against that shadow there. Do a bit and pull it down to the bank like so. Just so as the bank will start creating its own darkness. I want to get this right against the edge there. I don't want a dark edge there on the green. That'll do. And then start tapering this down. And it's just making some kind of grass, lawn. Getting it darker against the bank there. And let it break. And I might just grab a few more brighter bits within there. Up, coming down, something like that. Don't overdo it if you can help it.
Calm down, Ian, relax, don't overdo it.
Just like that. Get it there and then trace up some fingers of it. Just something like that. It's creating more of a different shape to that land there. Now with this one here, we're grabbing the sap green on its own, and we want to get the banks a bit darker, so we're going to pull that down to the water's edge there, just like so. This edge here, I want to kind of bring back like that. And I'll turn my brush upside down, just so as I can get the water's edge side. Darkness there. Probably put some bands of this here. I want to get some lighter values of it. I want the lighter value on that hill there. So if anything, I could probably get some bands of dark there. That'll do. I'm not going to put this shadow here because that's behind, okay? So we're trying to create that illusion of dimension. Top half, nice and bright where the light's hitting it. I'll stop about there for now, and I want to pull that back into the painting as well. If it's too loud, just simply use a darker vibe to push it back. Now I'm going to look in my monitor as I do this, because I need nice and bright against here. and just pull it in. Backwards and forwards with the lights and darks. Right down there, just to separate it. Push it forward and backwards. I don't like that yellow bit there, I'm going to kill that. I'll show you how I do that. Grabbing that darker colour, the sap green. Now we'll just block in this last bank using the sap green. Sorry, I didn't have the camera moved up. So I've done all this, I've blocked it in, finish it off. I've given that 2 coats. I'm grabbing the, where are we? Which green was that? Was that green? So I want to put this with a bit of white, different cut of lawn here. And a bit of yellow as well, break it up a bit. So we'll leave, where are we? Let's just see what we can do here. Come this way, where the bank's going to go down, and just try and pull it inwards. Come over there. I'm going to grab that darker colour again, and while it's still wet, just kind of pull it up into that so it does a bit of soft scumbling, whatever you want to call it. Grabbing the light colour again, bringing it down into there, just so it's bleeding into it. And now we're just going to add a bit more white to that. I'll do it up here so you can see on the tape here. Bit more white up there, and I just want some, let's say mainly here somewhere. Just let them bleed, not too much, just bands of it. Let me have a look at my monitor, see what's happening. I don't like that bit, so I'm going to have to kill it down, but I'll get some bits there. I'm going to kill that big bright blob there. There we go. That's it. I'm just grabbing the burnt umber on a flat brush. Got a little bit of that permanent alizarin mixed with it just to make it more opaque. And on this thing here, I want to get a tree. So I'm going to start the tree from here, and I want to get him coming up there. Okay. There, and there. Now with the bottom, I deliberately want to get some of this tree growing down the bank, just like that. Okay, I've pushed a little bit of white into that burnt umber. Not too loud and bright though, just enough to stand out on that trunk. And I've dried that trunk with my hairdryer, so this will sit on there and it won't mud up. The very left side of everything highlighted. But get it to the edge where you're highlighting it. Don't leave a dark edge there or where you're trying to highlight it. And I just want to simply get this part of the tree highlighted. Now it was important that I dried it, because if I didn't, this will be very hard to get this colour on there. Make it wavy in that, because it creates like you have shadows casting across the trunks. Now I'm grabbing my little shrub foliage brush that works for me, that I did these things with. I'm going to grab the sap green And I just want to stamp in the dark value of my tree, very basic and simply, just with the sap green. So I want this tree to come, I don't know, about from here, coming onto the lawn. There we go, you can come a bit lower there. And coming around, try and find a good shape for your tree. So you're going to cover that shrub up, which is fine. And I want to start making the shape of my tree, but leaving the edges nice and open. And see how these are looking open? Now that's a bit low, so I feel I want it up about this high. So we'll get him up there. There we go there, that's it. I've constructed it. Now if you want to get fussy, this bit of the brown trunk we can bring up a little bit higher so it'll look like some of that foliage is behind. You can see what I've done there. I've just brought the trunk higher. Now I've dried that sap green. We're going to use the green oxide just to highlight that. Simple, basic, but effective. Less is more. Don't overdo it. So I'll pick up this green oxide. I don't want it watery. I want it good.
You want it goodly, Ian.
Yeah. And we're just going to make some beautiful bright bits within our tree. Don't have to do all the edges. Leave some of the edges dark. I'll show you what I mean. I'm going to leave that bit dark and a pocket in here coming down just so as I can get something up there. Working out where you can leave the darks and lights is a big help. Looking at trees, I want a nice... And that bit can go about there. Leave the other side dark behind there, if you know what I mean. That way it'll look like it's got dimension. There we go, that was a simple tree. I'm just with me. What colour do I use there? I'm going to grab some more of that sap. And of course, we'll give this tree a bit of a shadow. So we're just grabbing this, is that the right colour yet? I want to come above the trunk there a bit, okay? Come down there and then just kind of out and about there somewhere, wiggle some kind of reference. And then come a bit wider here. And then coming down onto our bank. Just trying to kill some of the weirdness from that shadow. Okay, I'll sign this and then we'll take the tape off and see how she looks. And like I always do, I want to thank my Patreons and YouTube channel members who support my channel every month for the price of a cup of coffee. It's very much appreciated, and I want to thank you very much for your monthly support.
Now don't forget to put Steve's footprint in there.
No, we'll always put his footprint there. Okay, we'll whack a frame on that, see how she looks. There you go, we've got a mountain river scene with some fields there. Quite basic, but an effective piece of art, and I know you can do it. Well, I had a lot of fun painting that in acrylic. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, you tell your friends, but if you don't like what I'm doing, you tell everybody. Also, have a look at this other video of mine. Goodbye, good luck, and good on ya.